to our, and I denied all other people recording, just so you guys know, because nobody did me the favor and posted it. So I'm taking back my rights and I'm just going to post it myself. Okay. All right. So I want to do something different. I think that I've had this conversation 600 times in a row. I've never recorded it, never shown everyone how I do it. I think it would be important to do it. So I had, where's Chris? Someone.
Here.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Chris Creekmore runs a team on the coastal side of North Carolina. And he and I were talking for a few minutes when I was in school line about I've been approaching revenue share the wrong way. And I don't know what to say or who to say it to, and I want to get a different result. I think that's a very relatable question. I think everybody here is trying to figure out what their pitch is. What's the first sentence, right? The first sentence for me might be too forward for you. So let's start breaking this down behind the scenes of what this looks like. So bear with me here, but I think this is going to be far more interesting than recent sessions. Okay. So Chris, can you pull up your my EXP real quick before I
Yep.
get into share screen? I'm going to make
Yeah.
you also a co-host.
Okay.
So hold on one second. Don't worry, Eric. It's all good. Sorry. We're in such a small office that when someone hits print, everybody makes that screech looking face. Like, oh my God, is that loud? All right. So anyway, so you're co-host now, Chris. I want to build a storyline. Now, here's the thing. My storyline is different than Loney's, and hers is different than Julie's, and hers is different than Todd's, and you know how it goes, right? So what I want to show you is how you find your storyline. How do you figure out how this works? Most of you guys don't like pitching EXP, okay? Most of you guys don't like pitching yourself. So can you tell a true story in a way that's captivating and gain someone else's interest? I think the answer is yes. Actually, I'm quite sure it is can I teach it is the bigger question. So Chris, can you show us your My EXP and then share screen?
Yeah. Share screen.
So
Share
Chris is going to
screen.
be a bit of an open book here, guys. So that's another reason why I'm not letting anyone else record this, because he's going to be sharing some numbers. Okay, when you go to year end, click on the year end on the left tab.
Is he going to be talking about his martini glass today, Chris?
Hey, everybody. Hey, good to
Oh,
see you.
listen, there's another 55 and older sniper in the field. Is that how you know Chris, Emily? Okay, 55 places or whatever. Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So listen, guys, go back to the first full year that you were here, Chris. Looks like Chris sells a lot of houses, what I'm gathering. Okay. All right. So real estate transactions, he generated $310,000 of GCI. And then let's get a whiteboard going here too. Hold on. Can you guys see my screen? I'm gonna get rid of this back screen. Hold on one second. All right, good deal. Okay, please let me know if you guys can see behind me and pay attention to what Chris is working on. All right, I'm gonna move my computer to where it's pretty open. I got some brand new magic markers. This should work out fine. So in 2021, there was $310,000 of GCI. All right, let me actually write legible numbers since you guys are looking at this. 2021, $310,000 GCI. Okay. And then the agent equity program, there was $1,776 of stock.
Out of your mouth. Out of your mouth.
If I cover my mouth, you guys aren't going to be able to. All right, 2022. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, good. 247. In real estate sales, $2,200 in stock equity, and then 1,085 in the stock equity program. So I'm going to add that to this. So let's just say $3,300 of stock. All right, Chris, bring us to 2023, buddy. Okay, 370 in GCI, and then 9 grand in stock in the agent equity program. So say $11,000 in stock. Okay. All right, cool. All right, stop screen share just so you guys can see my whiteboard for a second, Chris. Thank you for being such an open book. All right, everybody following me so far? We've got we're gonna pitch a 3-year reflection on EXP. So 310 plus 247 plus 370. Hold on. Let me get to my assistant. 310 plus 247 plus 370. That's $927,000. All right, so I'm just going to write that down here. And then stock, we've got 1776. Now, I'm not doing this correct because I don't know what his stock price was on each of these months. I can go granular on this. I'm just going to do some overall easy math that we can all do. 3,300 and then 11,000. So he's got plus $16,000.76 of stock. All right. So let me erase all this. Okay. So we've got 927 GCI, and we got $16,000 of stock. We're not even adding rev share because it looked like he didn't have a ton of rev share going yet, which is the reason why we're all on this conversation, is to fix that situation. Okay. So think about this for a second. What does it cost someone like Chris? Chris, how many transactions did you average those 3 years?
About 55 average.
55 a year? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do some more math here, guys. I just want you guys to understand. I'm going to show you the bottom line is we're going to say one sentence and get people over here, but I want to show you how we're getting to that point. Okay, so if he's doing 55 units, right? We're going to start doing math on this. So we know it's $85 a month times 12. So he's going to pay 1,020 times 3 years, right? Because he's been here 3 years. So we got $3,060 of expenses in monthly fees. All right. And so if he's doing 55 times 3, he's got 165 units that we have to do times $25 on broker review fees. So he's got 4,125 on broker review fees. And then he's got $500 a year. He's got $1,500 on E&O. All right. I know that's just gone up, but we're going back in time. So we're going to use back in time numbers. It's not a big difference. Right. And then he's got $250 transaction fees. Right. So how many deals did you do, Chris, before the 250 started to come into play? Have I lost anybody yet?
Yeah.
If I lost you, you gotta let me know, because we're gonna get further down the road and you're gonna be more lost. So please stop me now.
You just kind of move to the side to a little so I can see your other first number. There we go. Okay.
Don't worry, I'm gonna clean all this up. I'm just writing at an angle because of where I'm sitting. All right, Chris, how many transactions until you capped each year, roughly?
About 8.
8. So 8 times 3 is 24. So 24 transactions, he didn't get a transaction charge, right? So we're gonna drop 165 minus 24. So that's 141 transactions. And now, did you go down to Icon and pay $75 instead of $250 at any point?
No.
Okay, good. Makes the math
Wait.
easier. All right, so that means you did
So
eight transactions, then you did 20 transactions. So yeah, you did pay $75 on a bunch of them.
yes, I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So let's say half of these guys were at 250 and half at 75. So I'm gonna do 70 times $75. So we got 5,250. And we'll call these transaction fees minus. These are the light ones. And then we got 70 times 250, and that's 17,500. And these are transaction fees, and these are the heavy ones, the 250 ones. So let's add up all this math. 3,060 plus 4,125 plus 1,500 plus 5,250 plus 17,500 equals $31,000 of expenses Now, did you get the $16,000 icons that you got? Did you get any of that money back? I know you got 8,000 back each time. Did you go anywhere? Did you attend anything? Did you teach anything?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm a little upset about that because I thought I was receiving more than what I did because I went to the icon events and I talked to somebody that I had actually done all my icon requirements, but I'm not seeing here that I've got paid based on that.
Okay, so I want you to go into accounting and I want you to show them that you attended those things. I'm sure there's a picture of you somewhere on social media. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a sign in. And then I want you to, it takes 90 days to get your credits back on that. So I want you to go in there and make sure that you're getting your money. Guys, EXP is great. You're one of 80 something thousand agents. We have to be our own advocates here. Okay. So Chris, make sure that you do that. So did you get, I need to add what you paid in cap for those 3 years. Did you get 8,000 back, 12,000 back, or 16,000 back each year?
I thought I got a minimum of 8,000 each year.
You do. You're just not showing it in your Morgan Stanley account for some reason, so you got to go back and fix that.
Yes.
Don't worry,
Yeah.
it's there because when it happens, they already pull it out. So they didn't give it to somebody else. It's just lost. You got to locate it back into your account.
Okay.
Okay, it's not a big
All right.
deal. And
At
if you have a problem with
minimum-
that, let me know. Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. So you think you got 8 grand back or 16 grand?
I
Just
thought the first 2 years I got 16 grand.
Okay, good.
And
All right.
I'm working on the my third icon fulfillment to get the full 16.
Okay, so I'm not going to add $48,000 of cap in here because he got it back. He lost it with his keys. We got to find it. Okay, so I'm not going to add that money back in there. So he's made basically $1 million of income because when you say 927 and you got the 16 grand here, we haven't done, let's just do it exactly because he's going to use this as a pitch and we want to be perfect. So 927 is what he made. And then he also made $16,000 of stock. So he made 943. Okay. And it cost him 31,435 in miscellaneous fees. Kelly, I have a short attention span. Just jump in because I'm not going to look for the hands. Just come on in.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
I just wanted to go back when you, sorry to take you back a few steps, but
Okay.
I think you figured 70 of those things at 250 when really it would have been 20 each year, right? Because once he hits
Yeah.
icon
I know.
So-
I just figured if I'm going to be wrong, I'm going to be wrong to where
on the high side.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, good point. Cause that crossed my mind and I was like, forget it. Let's even call it 50-50. We'll make it super, super simple. Okay. So for $943,000, let's go 31,435 divided by 943. He's working at 96.7% commission splits at EXP. Okay.
It's not, okay.
If I've made a mathematical mistake or you guys are having a freak out, externalize it now. Did I make any math mistakes on this? Is everybody following me? It's a workshop. Okay. 96.7% commission payout when you factor in the icon, all of the miscellaneous fees, and the stock that EXP gave him for doing real estate. Okay, got it covered. Okay, so here's the pitch. Okay, my name is Chris Creekmore. I've been selling real estate out here for a long while, and I'm moving around. What's your volume per year right now, Chris? 15 million a year?
Probably closer to 18.
Okay, so for the last 3 years, I'm out here selling just under $20 million a year. And I wrote a list of the 5 people that sell more real estate than I do on the coastline of North Carolina. And I wrote a list of the 5 people that sell just a little less than me. So some of you guys I'm chasing, some people are chasing me. I don't know if we're even paying attention to this happening. And I am at a platform that has gifted me ownership at the company. So on average, the last 3 years, and I can break this down for you in math, I'm at a 96.7% commission split at EXP. Now, if the stock goes from $10 to 13, I'm probably over 100%. If I brought over some agents, which I chose not to do, this is why you haven't heard from me and I haven't called you and bothered you. Okay. If I bring some agents over, I go over 100. I've got a lot of ways to win. As an investor, I was at a meeting yesterday with BlackRock and they want me to put money in on a project local, that there are developers that are locally handling this. So you have a master developer and then you have operators that are running as the sub developer here. And they want to give me a return for 11%. And I'm in a room full of people that could buy me out 25 times in a second, right? And one of the things that I was thinking to myself was, at some point in this pitch, I want to see a pathway to victory. Because the last thing I'm doing is betting on you if you don't think you can win. Like, that's all I was stuck on that loop in my head. I still haven't heard a pathway to victory. I've heard all the things that could happen wrong. I've heard all the ways that we can safeguard ourselves from bad things happening. Nobody's shared with me a victory on this thing. Show me the way that everybody wins. I want to see everybody's able to win somehow and has an exact clear path on what that looks like. And if you have 2 ways that you can win, even better, right? So there's so many outs here, all right? I mean, there's so many ways to win. I mean, first of all, stock can go up. That can happen while Chris is taking a nap, right? He could be in the Bahamas, stock can go up, right? He could be on date night, stock goes up. Doesn't matter, right? He can bring some agents over. Well, Chris has to exercise the muscles on that, and then he can win there. He can win on iconing for many more years. He can win on the fact that he's paying 60 cents on the dollar for healthcare, and the person next to him is paying $1,500 a month. There's so many ways for him to hit 100% commission at this company, right? I mean, if you think about it, what's the worst 3-year window that we've had in our stock price? The last 3 years, right? So during EXP's most vulnerable tech stock gang up, where we've all gotten kind of beaten up in the tech space here, right? COVID, all these odd outlier things have all been the perfect storm. Interest rates go up 5% in 18 months. All of new competitors come about. Real estate agents don't get paid buyer's agency anymore. Boy, if you could talk about a litmus test full of crap that has come our way in the last 3 years, our stock has been navigating those waters. In the last 3 years, the worst stock performance for most companies, I mean, we're doing good. We're hanging in. A lot of companies are not doing good at all, right? For all of that being said, still 96.7% commission. Okay, I got a lot of blank looks.
I'm following.
Okay. Who's not following? You could be frank with me, because honestly, I don't know if I'd follow this conversation if I wasn't so close to the sun here on this topic.
Rich, can you start the pitch from top to bottom? Because you started the pitch and then stopped the pitch.
Okay. So what we know is that the last 3 years, my GCI has equaled $943,000. Doesn't matter if I'm at EXP, Caldwell Banker, my own company. That's what I made, period. I got my $16,000 back times 3, because we're talking 3 years. So I got $48,000 of the money that I've kicked in back. But EXP's got a couple other fees. So these other miscellaneous fees, which I can itemize for you, what was the number? 31,000, 33,000, something like that? 31,000? 33,000. Okay. So since I got my 48 grand back, I'm striking through that. And then I said, okay, my $33,000 that I can't get back, these fees, these monthly fees, these E&Os and broker review fees, transaction fees, I divided $33,000 by my income, which is $943,000. And it says 96.7% is what my expenses at EXP was to my income. So essentially, EXP has taken 3.3% from my GCI annually. And look what I've gotten. Well, let me use a different color marker. So if I was operating my own company called Creekmore and Associates, when you take my 100% commission that I would get and all the liability and all the stupid tax I have to pay to manage agents and recruit and do all this other stuff, get Class A space. When you do all of it, even if I got lenders and the other vendors that come in here and part my hair and tell me how handsome I am and write me a check, still my expenses are going to be more than the 3.3% it takes for me to use this as a platform to sell real estate. Make sense? Now let me tell you what I get for and I didn't do these numbers. Chris, did you and I talk about numbers at all?
No.
I just did this live, real time, first time I seen it, right? Is that fair? Is that a fair statement? Okay, so for 3.3% of my annual GCI, my overhead is tiny. You go into any business there is on the planet, and you show me that you got a 3.3% cost of doing business, and I'll give you a Slim Jim and a smile and say, congratulations, you're in the right business. Okay, but what do I get? For that 3.3%, I get discounted healthcare, right? I get stock at a company that's got a $2 billion cap versus Creekmore LLC, which has a, whatever cap, hundreds of thousands of dollar cap. I mean, I came in by Chris's business because they're going to like Chris more than like me. So I don't know how you sell a real estate Rolodex. It's hard. Okay. I'm going to get discounted healthcare, stock. I'm going to get workplace to where we got leads flowing through the company at the crack of probably 20,000 this year. I'm going to get the ability to get into revenues and get institutional business here, buyers and sellers. I'm going to be able to go in there and be a mentor and get 10% off the top of 20 agents. I'm going to go in there and get all my education for free. And I'm going to get on Zoom calls with crazy people like the one that you're on right now. And I'm not going to have to write a check or be part of a monthly fee. And then I'm going to be able to bring over all my friends. And then I'm going to be able to share a cap with my spouse. And then I'm going to be able to sell real estate in other markets. And I can move, and it's all the same thing. One company covers me everywhere. I get all of that stuff for 3.3%. Does anybody think that's a good value proposition? You guys came over here thinking it was not even this good, right? Till you do the numbers. So when you got an agent that's leaving, you say, oh, what happened? If you're an Icon agent, you're going to go to another company, and for what reason? Let's look at the numbers. This company's cost. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Good.
So if I went to a 100% company that has a $5,000 cap on that 100%, it's 98.3%. There's a difference of just 2%. And you just did a great job of creating value for just 2% more of as a cost of sale.
So 2% in this case, John, based on these numbers, could be $20,000, right? If you're doing the numbers that Chris is over 3 years. So it could be $6-7 grand a year.
Could be.
And if you're saving $800 a month in healthcare, it's actually not even that. It's nothing.
Right. That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. And again, the conversation is excluding lane 3. You bring lane 3 into the conversation, just blows everything out of the water.
So let's talk about that. So I'm telling you that I'm at 96.3%, right? Commissions in lane 1 and lane 2. The back end of my business is an open check that I decide to write the number in there.
Right.
So Chris, you've been selling $18 million a year, and I've watched you sell $18 million a year. I've driven by your real estate for sale signs. I've even had the ideation of taking your sign and throwing it in my trunk and driving away. I've been watching you out here for years. And I like to think to myself, if you were working at the same commission split that I'm working at, that you would pull me aside and say, hey, Chris, there's a better way, man. I don't think it has to be this way. So I'm doing that to you. And you have free will to say no and tell me something that you'll regret later, but I won't make you feel bad for it. Or you could sit down and I can write this out on a yellow legal pad in a busy coffee shop and show you what your numbers would look like, because I can show you what my last 3 years numbers look like, and you sell 2 million more than I do every year. Okay. Is that a pitch that you guys can get around?
Yeah.
All right. So what's my story? Right? I don't know what your story is. I just know what Chris's story, and it took me all of what, 20 minutes to figure out what Chris's pitch line is for the next 2.5 years. After 2.5 years, his pitch line is this: hey, my name is Chris Creekmore. I was selling 55 units a year, and I decided to build an organization that closed on 650 transactions last year. I only touched 5 of them. And we are one of the largest organizations on the East Coast of North Carolina without any cost acquisition or unnecessary expenses that these antiquated competitors are dealing with. Make sense? Or here's my pitch. I've got 2,682 agents in 14 countries that closed 30,000 transactions, and I didn't touch one of them. If I can teach you guys one magic trick, is how team leaders are not in production and how independent brokerage owners don't have to sell real estate. Because most people can't get past that first David Copperfield trick where they cut someone in half in a box. They can't get there. Once we can get there, then I can show you other places I can get that you guys might think are interesting. Like how to grow and compound in a coma, right? How micro dosage of commissions are better than macro dosages of commissions, all of it, right? So, okay, so if you're asking right now, what's my story? Let's look at your numbers. So you got to go back into your My EXP and you got to figure out what your pitch is. Chris has got a pretty good pitch. We didn't know that until we just did this, right? Because I have no idea what Chris's numbers are. I'm learning with you guys. But we can exercise this and see what it could be. So if you go back, just going to do a real quick explanation and then we're going to open this up because I think we've been preaching too much. So here's the thing. If you go back in 2017, I know that year well because I came here, 2018, 2019, stock was like $2.87 when I came over in Q3, right? We had 5,000 agents at the October convention in Miami. I can't draw an N. Okay. So anyway, by 2018, we went and got listed on the NASDAQ and we went for a crazy ride. Anybody here? It hit $165 at one irrational point. And then we split in half and then it was like 25, 30. So let's just say that we averaged $60 a share. Okay. And then 2019, I don't know, maybe $22 a share, something like that. So if you look at just what we made off on stock on those 3 years, trading at today's, in deflated value of $10 a share, in most cases, that could put you at 130, 140%. So while Chris's numbers are very impressive because he sells a ton of real estate, his timing isn't as good as 2017, 18, 19. Of course, when we look back in 20 years, this would be a great time to be getting icon stocks when it's $9, $10 a share. So you got to look at your numbers and not be intimidated about what you're going to find. Because if anybody here has been here since 2017, 18, or 19, the stock went for a crazy ride and you got larger chunks of it, right? So you got to be able to do your year ends for 3 years. Even if you're at 89%, you know how many companies are not paying 89%? All of Realty, most of the indies. I mean, I'd say what, 85%, 90% of the companies that other agents have as a competing option are now cheaper than you. And they thought we were paying 80-20, right? Oh, no, 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 no. 80-20 is the modality in which we get to 96.7%. We take advantage, right? Okay, I'm going to open up for dialogue because I'm getting mixed emojis here. Anybody have any questions?
That John brought up too. He was talking about those 100% companies. The ones in Minnesota, I don't know about you guys, but they charge $700 transaction fees that the company keeps. That's not, you don't get that back. That's $38,000 a year that Chris would have paid into the company on transaction fees that we don't have to pay.
So the language that I put around that, James, is very simple. Anybody here go negotiate a car at a big superstore and they have a dock fee? You're like, what's the dock fee for? Well, it's not for delivery. It shows you on the invoice what the delivery fee is. It's just a profit fee. It's a garbage fee, right? Now, do they negotiate dock fees? No, they'll negotiate price, but the dock fee is going to be itemized on your invoice no matter what. So do you think dealerships charge dock fees to be profitable? Yes. Your company's doing that to you right now. It's fine. What are you getting back? You're paying in. What are you getting back? I still don't have autonomy. I still have to sit in front of a desk hoping somebody will walk in the door like it's 1987. I still have to wait 3 days for my check to come. I still can't put my colors, my logos, all my stuff on there. I still got to pay if I'm moonlighting and selling real estate in another market, a whole another company, because we don't even operate there, right? I still bring my friends over and I get a Starbucks gift card versus residual income for the lifetime of the relationship. So we got to be able to start like putting a good, nice, bright light on this conversation. And you have to be able to know where you're guiding the conversation, because they don't know. If you're not delivering this, then what they're essentially having to do is wait for somebody else to deliver it better, and then joining up 4 years later and pay the cost of time. And you pay the cost of them not being in your organization, seeing them in someone else's organization and saying, oh, they're disloyal. There's no more loyal people in the world. That's not the case. So every time you don't bring an agent over, it's only your fault. You did not communicate the model well. Now, the question is can you communicate the model well to 100% of people 100% of the time? No. You're going to have a lower ratio than you think. A very successful communicator is probably in the 30-something percentile. A decent one's probably in the teens. A really unskilled one or new to the trade is maybe 5 or 6%. It doesn't matter what the percentage is. It just tells you how many reps you got to do. Right? Okay. Have I scared everybody? Chris, does that help your question at all?
It absolutely does. I know that I'm going to put this into a format such that I can read it and articulate it and spiel it off like that. So I'm going to run the numbers again, you know, on my end. And
post it in here.
Do what? Oh, yeah, okay.
Post it in here. Yeah.
All right.
All right, so listen, we're getting to the slogan, right? We got a political, we got an election coming up, right? Comes down to slogans, right? You got to remember what the slogan is. So here's a slogan. It's very simple. Is that in the last 3 years, doing 15 to 18 to $20 million of real estate, I moved 160 units through my weekends and nights and first shift too. And my total expenses for being at my brokerage puts me at around a 97% commission split. Here's the sheet that backs up that statement with true facts from my numbers, totally exposed. I didn't get into healthcare or any other things that puts this over the number higher, just bare bones transactions. So if you're doing 3 million a year and you're like, oh, great, Chris is doing 3 deals, you know, every 3 weeks. And if you're doing 3 deals a year and you've only been at 80-20, but the stock went from $7 a share and you sold some of it for $30 a share, you might be at 140% return. So if you got to get their attention. Anybody here watch a movie trailer and then decide right there in the movie trailer whether you're watching the movie or not? It's the intention of the movie trailer. So if your movie trailer is the slogan, hey, I closed, you know, 30,000 plus transactions last year without touching a client. So I understand a little bit about entrepreneurship in the industry. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how you're operationally functioning and getting stuck at 500 transactions a year. Because I didn't get stuck at 500. I can unclog you somewhere. Then I got to break it down. Well, this is what I did. We're going to show the math every time, but we're going to tell you the answer to the problem that you haven't said out loud to get your attention. So, Chris, you're making linear income. You can only churn so much butter as a mouse running in a circle. At some point, you're going to burn out. You're going to walk away from this fortune that you're making. I've got a way to where you don't have to walk away from the fortune. You could just walk away from the stress. It's going to require you to learn a couple of new things, but we're going to do this right now while you're healthy and strong and selling the lights out of the coastal side of North Carolina. Right? That's the conversation. Everybody can do this. Are all of you guys going to get to the amount of agents that I have? No. 29 people have gotten higher than I have, and I got people chasing me, and we'll see how this all lays out. I don't care if I'm number 29 or 65 or 240. All I care is that I'm hanging out with my kids and my wife on a Tuesday at 1 o'clock. The rest of it's all white noise to me. So the point is what's the number? What does it have to look like for you guys? Right? So is it 20 grand a month? If it's $250,000 a year, can you get to a 380, 400 organization mark? Well, I don't know. I've only brought 15 over. Well, the answer is that you definitely can't do it alone. We know that much unless you have enough years. So maybe we need to bring over some other people that can do what you did. So if I've only brought over 10, I just need 5 people that can bring over 10, right? And then I need those 10 people to bring over 2, and those 2 people to bring over 1. And then I might have to go back to the chalkboard and find another 5 that can bring over 10. And we're going to build this out. Make sense? The way that I look at this is revenue share is all savings. Keep selling real estate. That's where all the realtors are. Put your revenue share and your stock in the bank. At a certain point, when the revenue share is big enough, start paying your bills with it and start getting 50% referrals on files that you've spent 15 seconds on versus 15 hours on. Okay? There is an epiphany here that can happen, and I've watched it happen to a lot of people, is I've got a $1 million buyer. I would never give away $1 million buyer, Rich. I know. It's $25,000, right? $30,000, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, would you rather make $17,000 and be done with it before lunch today? Or do you have to see this all the way through? I'd rather make $17,000. Anybody here win the lottery? Would you take half of it and get paid out that day?
Always.
Always. Bird in hand, right? All right, so we got some good news, and then I'll open it up. VAFHA, they're going to finance 3% buyer concessions. You guys hear that? It's good. It's real good. We're halfway there, guys. Now all we got to do is control the conversation. You guys were financing it before anyway. So if it was a 6% commission on $1 million deal, you had $60,000 of skill set compensated and included in a 30-year PITI. What's different now? Absolutely nothing. It's exactly the same thing. All right. Okay. Open dialogue. Where do you guys want to go? Oh, by the way, Hank didn't make it today. Got a kid going to college.
Hey, Rich, I had a quick question.
Sure. Hey, Ellen Ann.
Hey, how are you? Chip and I have really, with our icon, we have really done a great job of winning at the stock game. We bought stock back every chance we could, and we slayed it. Do I need to use caution in sharing that because we are a publicly traded company and I'm an owner? I just wanted to be cautious about saying something that could, get us anybody in trouble, particularly us, since everyone, hates us right now.
Yeah. So insider trading is not anything you're going to step on because you're just telling the story of what you've gained. Okay. If you start predicting stock price and you start getting, we got a good quarterly returns coming out or earnings coming out, I think you start getting into spaces you want to stay away from. But yeah, you and Chip can basically tell the story of, what's been the benefit of being a married couple sharing a cap, what's been the benefit of the stock that you've been awarded and what stock you've purchased and what you purchased it at and what ratio of a discount you got in some of those processes through the equity program. All of that stuff is open. Because awesome, I go on Facebook and tell you my experience with Apple.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Which has been good, by the way. Okay.
I got something, Rich. I got some good news. I was working on a big brokerage to come over. I got their top 4 agents to come first.
Good. I mean, sometimes there's got to be a tax. Yeah.
And it was 2 months. We've been working in the back end. And then finally, now the broker was really stuck on losing her percentages, which we explained to her she could get at Mega Agent. And now she's open to come over with at least 10. She said that 10 are committed. And then obviously more agents are coming over. But let me tell you, it was definitely a fist fight with her to kind of think that she's going to lose the top agents. And when she did, when they actually signed up, then, she's finally coming over right now. So which is good.
Rummy, congratulations, dude. I'm so happy for you personally. Number 2, she wasn't in a fist fight. She was punching herself in the face. You were trying to stop her hand from punching herself in the face. Make that clear. Number 3, don't have her on board like she's at the DMV in line.
Yeah. No, we got the whole. I mean,
Red
Keely's
carpet.
behind it too.
Yeah, we want licenses to transfer right away. I bring Anne Marie into the conversation because I'm neurotic and I like it to be done all the way. Just all food for thought, okay?
Yeah, and I just want to bring up one thing, and maybe just coming over here, and maybe it shouldn't be brought. You could just shut me down, whatever you want. Epic has been one of my 2 top agents team that I brought over, and they keep asking me. I already told them my opinion about them already. Anything that you could share, kind of like I know who they are. I did my research and everything. They've been approaching me too as well. So
yeah, well, all of the competition that we're starting to see come up, I think are outworking us in the recruitment category. So only people that can fix that is you guys. Okay, I don't say this to my base of agents because most of my agents don't want to play in this sandbox. But if you guys come to this call every week, you're obviously wanting to play in the sandbox. You guys are equal the sum of all of their recruiters that are committed just on a call. They probably got 30, 40 real focused attractors in their organization. So Josh Miller used to work for Gene Frederick. He was their back end person. And anyway, Josh Miller is the one that started Epic. It's another sort of a carbon copy of our concept. Apparently, according to John Dietz's Facebook, you can't find a car wash within 3 or 4 hours from where he lives, but I can't say that that's for everybody. There's a video. It's funny. You guys want to hear something funny? There's a video of a guy that explains Epic versus EXP on YouTube, and he actually references EXP family tree as the only thing he missed at EXP. So crazy, right? So he does a back and forth. If you guys are unsure about any one company, you guys have not spent any time on YouTube. Okay. ABC explained. ABC versus CDE, right? DEF versus ABC. They're all there. So fill in the blank, go out there, watch the video, and they're going to tell you all the glamour of the company. So if you can beat them on glamour, then you could beat them on actual what is delivered, right? So go ahead and study up on that. Go ahead, Julie.
I just heard yesterday a top producing agent in Oregon is moving to Real. And she's not in my line, but she's kind of sisters to me in my upline. And I heard from somebody that she's going to be trying to recruit me. I'm like, oh, bring it on. Okay, so I'm asking.
Is that Nikki?
Nope.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm asking this group, can I write down some specific questions y'all think I should ask? She hasn't reached out to me, but it sounds like she's going to, and I'm going to definitely take her on. Okay, recruit me. I want you to. So what should I be asking her? Do you guys want me to bring
I would
back?
tell her if you can lock in the rev share model for life, I'm joining.
Okay. Anybody else have any?
I've got some if you want.
I've got my notes. I'm ready to write. Am I remarkable?
I'd ask how much debt is at the company. I'd ask them what the sustainability is projected out at 20, 30, 50, 100,000 agents. I'd ask what the per transaction volume is per agent. I would ask who's the top revenue share earner and what do they make and how many examples do you have of success at the company? I'd ask if they're number one in any marketplace across the United States. And then I'd ask them the last question is, do I gamble everything on speculation or do I gamble it on proof? When you guys are using closed sales, do you guys use the houses that sold or do you guys use the houses that are under contract that you have to guess the price on? You want me to use pending sales when my family and my future is all on the line? I don't know. That feels a little frivolous. Have her recruit me too when you're done. See, I don't know. Rich has been real negative about everything. Just go give him a call.
Okay.
Are you prepared to answer all those questions that you were just saying to ask?
Yeah, I feel so, Jonathan. You want to go through them one by one? I'm happy to.
No, I'm just curious because I just want to prepare myself for what I need to be prepared for.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, I think I'm probably tougher than the average bear on asking questions, but yeah, those are all questions that I've asked at EXP, and I'm happy to give the answer. I wasn't being facetious.
Yeah, let's hear those answers.
All right, what were the questions? Let's start on the first one.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. John Beach said lock in riff share. Okay, how much debt? How much debt?
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero debt. We have
Zero.
about $240 million in the bank.
Sustainability.
We've
20.
adjusted our revenue share model probably 9 times in 14 years. We paid out $240 million back to the agent last year. From a sustainability company, no one has better data on sustainability than us because we're the biggest company with this new way forward in the business. And right now, the sustainability is this simple. The company's going to make 50 cents on every dollar that comes in. And our payouts right now are amongst the highest there ever was. For the companies that are paying out too high and don't realize they can't afford to cash the check.
That's it.
Okay. Per
6.2 transactions per agent at EXP, which is double the national average.
Who's the top rev share earner?
Brenkov made $8.3 million in 2022. I don't know what he made last year.
Are they number one in states?
Yeah, we're in 700 MLSs. We're number one in the country overall in independent brokerage owners. Maybe Keller Williams is higher in transactions. We did double what Compass did, 6 times what Real did in transactions. And, all throughout Texas, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, California, we're number one across the board in multiple metropolitan markets out there. And we're probably in the top 3 across the country on average. At least metropolitan markets, not micropolitan markets. So let's just say a million people plus cities.
And then your last one was just, do you gamble on speculation or proof?
Yeah, the answer is clearly no.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
So when you're able to articulate this information, this data, how are you monitoring and keeping track of that such that you know it, you see it? So if I was to look at that and find access to that information, how would I do that?
Believe it or not, EXP announcements is the base of where my education comes from. I just read the article that you guys all delete or click through because some of it's exhausting. Number 2, I'm part of the alpha influencer group here. So we have meetings and we ask hard questions and we get data like that. And what I do is I actually report it right back. I filter out all the nonsense and I give you guys back the things that you can actually arm yourself with.
That I want to also make a comment on that. So I can't articulate as fast as Rich, but let me tell you guys, I search Rich Tomasini and Family Tree and I go back all the way to when he joined and I watch old videos of him and all the things. Of course, some of the data and stats have changed, but a lot of the stuff, I mean, it's just a wealth of information. And the more you hear it over and over and over, you start articulating it just like Rich. He just spit it out just like that.
I've never watched anything that I've ever recorded. Have you noticed any difference in the last 6.5 years of my delivery? Has that changed at all?
No.
No. I was an asshole back then too, I guess.
No, no, but I mean, the only thing, I mean, you
don't agree, Anne-Marie. I'm taking you off co-host. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's a lot of, I mean, you're basically you're quicker to, like shut everyone up in the room as far as, oh, you don't even know how to come in a Zoom, everyone quiet, kind of thing.
Yeah, I've always been cranky. That's something I brought to the company. So
no.
I just don't know how we come into Zoom unmuted anymore in 2024.
Right.
But anyway, but I saw somebody wearing a mask in the car with the windows up by themselves on the way here. So there's just going to be some things I'm never going to be able to comprehend as a lowbrow thinker. Here's the thing is that the way that I come into revenue share is exactly the way that I left production. When I went to a listing presentation against high caliber agents like you guys on the phone, like on this call, I was prepared to leave an impression, to leave with them having tons of information with an unorthodox style of growing my listing business and having the process work. I'm the only agent that talked about negotiations for 20 minutes. I'm the only person that basically gave them an expectation list of what it's going to look like to work with me. I actually had standards and expectations in part of the conversation. I used to say, listen, I don't do second shift and third shift because I'm not a heart surgeon and I can't fix anything when everybody who fixes problems is asleep. So I work first shift. The only time I work second shift and third shift is when I'm negotiating. I like negotiating at 2 in the morning. I like negotiating at 2 in the afternoon. Actually, frankly, I don't know why I'd even be in this business if I didn't like negotiating. I'd like to do it right now. You want to talk about commissions? Let's start there. Okay. So how I came from listing appointments is how I went into revenue share, which is that I had done enough reps of one single thing to where I wasn't nervous anymore. And that's how you guys have to get with this. That's why you guys are coming to the call, right? You don't learn something every time. A lot of it's redundant. But what you start getting comfortable with is sort of the word tracks and the angles in which we deal with objections and conditions. Okay. What I think this is basic sales training, and I've said this 1,000 times. So some of you guys that are loyal, repeat offenders here have to give me some grace. People are overcoming conditions and working around objections, and that's backwards. You overcome objections and you work around conditions. The difference between a condition and an objection is huge. Here's an objection. I don't like so-and-so that works at EXP that left my company 6 months ago. I associate the brand with that agent and I want nothing to do with them. Sure, I get it. Well, I don't like that knucklehead that's sitting in the cubicle across the street. I did a deal with her in your Caldwell Banker branch and made me think about setting the building on fire. So I think that's happening everywhere. Okay. Here's a condition. I can't come over until a $7 million contract closes in July. Or I might lose 50% of $290,000. Okay. Okay. So this is what we can do. We could put you on an LOI. You can start bringing agents over here. They're going to look like they came over without you talking to them. You're going to start building your revenue share organization. They're going to lean on me to have third-party calls. We're going to start working through this. You're going to stay behind. You're going to get your big check. And then as soon as your check clears, you're going to come over here and you're going to go to the front of the line. It's going to be like Disney VIP. Okay. That's the difference between working a condition and an objection. Think about your sales business. Oh, well, I know 3 other realtors. Well, let me tell you something. You must be calling me because they're missing something. Or because I did something that they didn't do. So when am I going to go over there? Okay. So you just got to get reps in. Like, you know, you guys have all read the same crap. There's so many gurus on YouTube and authors and people pitching product on social media that never made over $100,000 in their life. They're really good at marketing a product, not really good at using the product or knowledge that they're teaching. I'm sick of that stuff. I'm sure you guys are too. You don't know what to believe. You got credible people that are getting mixed into the pile of people that are not credible, right? And the way that I look at everything is that we've all read the same books. Has anyone here not heard you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with? Has anyone here not heard that it takes 10,000 hours to specialize in something before you're good? Okay, I'm about 10,000 hours into this. I'm 6.5 years into this thing, right? Front loaded, I was working way more than 40 hours a week. So I'm probably past 10,000 hours. All right. I'm not the best there is. I'm not the most articulate person. I'm not fluid all the time. I'm not emotionally intelligent. I'm not doing any of these other like mastery things here. I've got 10,000 hours on something that I've been working on. If you guys were building, you know, the statue David in your garage and you've been chipping away stone and YouTubing how to chip away little bits of stone and big bits of stone and, you know, degrees and measuring with your pencil stick and all these different things, you know, all the, whatever artists learn, I don't know what it is. And then I came into your garage with 3 hours of making a clay pot. Do you think that I'm not going to be speaking the same language you are? Of course I'm not. So you got to start getting the reps in so you can see how you fail. How did any of you guys know that you're not a good dancer? By the people's reactions around you when you were dancing last time. Yeah. So here's the key. You got to go out there and try something. And then you got to try it again. And then you got to try it again. And then it comes down to one thing. Let's make less mistakes than we did last time. Let's make less of an embarrassment than I did last time. And before you know it, you're okay. And then you go from being okay to very effective in a short period of time. It takes a long time to go from being awful to okay. But to go from being okay to very good is like half the time. We just can't get enough people to okay. That's where I find to be the missing link of EXP. Most people can't get past the fear of talking to someone they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're at 2 o'clock, basically. Two things happen at 2 o'clock. One is a lot of you guys get on the phone and hammer them. And the other is that the rest of you guys invite people to Greg Macaluso's EXP Explain because he does it really, really well. And stay on the phone call with him so you don't lose him. He's not a stealer anyway. But let somebody else leverage the model. You've already explained it to them. They know your voice on it. Let somebody else explain it. All right? All right, guys. Thanks for being with me.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Rich, can I steal you for a minute?
Yeah,
Thank
Allison.
you, Rich.
Okay, bye, guys.
Bye.
Hold on, Allison. It's about a
You're good.
Thank you,
100
Rich.